Hi. So before understanding whether your property, that is immobile property, house, plot, land, anything, will it become illegal if you don't mute it? To understand about this question, we must first understand what is mutation, what is registration. What is mutation means mutation under property law. So whenever you wanted to buy an immobile property like house, plot, land, or agricultural land or non-agricultural land, we have two dimensions for the transaction. The one dimension is the regular purchase. You will identify a buyer or you will identify a seller and do the transaction. That transaction is called conveyance deed. There are many types of conveyance. It could be by way of a sale, it could be by way of a lease, long-term lease. It could be by way of a will, it could be by way of a gift, it could be by way of exchange. Rarely this is done. And it could be by way of a release deed. There are many types of conveyance, that is many type of real estate transactions. So this is the first aspect of a real estate transaction, which must be registered. Of course, there are some exceptions. Like will deed, you don't need to register. Now, the transaction is successfully completed. You paid the consideration. You took possession of the property. You collected the title deeds from the vendor. You have the title deed in your name. You took a bank loan. So all activities pertaining to the registration are completed. Now, is everything complete? Absolutely yes, everything is completed. Now, what is the purpose of mutation? Now you could get some doubts. What is the purpose of mutation? When there is already a registration in my name, and when that registration is done before the government must automatically suo moto apply the government records and change the records. Why should you inform the government? Your doubt is absolutely correct. You don't need to inform the government. Government has to do it on its own. It has to simply consolidate the registration law and the municipal law, or the registration department and the municipal department. That is exactly the Dharani law, which was launched by the Telangana government, where Telangana government is trying to consolidate the registration law with the municipal law in non-agricultural properties and the registration law with the mutation law in agricultural properties. That is what Dharani law is all about. So briefly, to understand Dharani law, earlier registration was done by sub-registrar and mutation was done by Tehsildar for agricultural properties, and for non-agricultural properties, municipalities or gram panchayats or greater municipalities used to mutate. Now Telangana government came forward with new reforms, new law, where registration and mutation are getting merged. Now Tehsildar will execute the registration and also mutation, which will be done on the same day. In the same way, sub-registrar will perform the registration of non-agricultural property and also perform the mutation. Now, if you don't mute it, earlier law was not there. In other states also, I don't think there will be any such kind of law. If you don't mute it, because mutation becomes important. For example, if you are an apartment owner, the old owner goes off and the new owner comes. For the purposes of election, mutation is necessary, because you have to take a new membership as a new purchaser. Therefore, mutation is necessary. The other advantage of mutation is, if you are in the government records, if at all government proposes some acquisition on your immobile property for the larger public interest, there will be a delay in giving you the compensation. That is the purpose of mutation. In a simple language, to understand the mutation means, you can get married in a temple. You don't need to go before government and get married, but you will simply register in the government records. You will simply go to the sub-registrar and record your marriage. That is, inform the government. Otherwise also, government will be informed through various forms. You have children, government will be informed. You want to benefit some scheme, government will be informed. You have to apply for a passport, government will be informed. Government will get information. But if you give information, it is quite clear to the government. That is mutation. So if you purchase a property and don't inform the government, the transaction doesn't become illegal. You are simply not updating the government records. If you get married in a temple and don't update in the government records or go to the sub-registrar's office and obtain a registration certificate for marriage, your marriage doesn't become illegal. So mutation means informing the government. In the Telangana, new law came. But not mutating doesn't affect your transaction. Remember this. The point of making this video is everybody is thinking that mutation is the core. No. Mutation is only at the periphery. It is simply the tail of the transaction. It is not the core of the transaction. So it is simply giving information to the government that you purchase the property. Kindly update in your records. Now if you don't give information, if you start paying the property tax in the name of your vendor, pay the water bills in the name of your vendor, pay the current bills in the name of your vendor, pay the land revenue for agricultural properties in the name of the vendor, what happens? Nothing. If you could prove to the court that the money went from your account to the government account online and you have the receipt, original receipt obtained from the government for paying the property taxes or other kind of taxes, it is enough for the court to come to a conclusion that you are the owner of the property. Otherwise also you are the owner of the property. Some crooked litigants may have some opportunity. Like your vendor, if he is a crooked litigant, he may try to play small games with you to just launch a court case. It may be sufficient. But he will never become the owner if not mutated. Please remember this. Your transaction never becomes illegal if not mutated. Your property never becomes illegal if not mutated. Because there will be hundreds of evidences that are accepted by the court. The vendor can fool the vendee but not the court. So understand that mutation is simply giving information to government. If you don't give information to the government also, your transaction doesn't become illegal. Because transaction, title, consideration, possession, delivery of documents, enjoyment of the property, ownership of the property, transferable right of the property, heredity right of the property, these are all the concepts of the property. Out of all these concepts of property, mutation is simply nothing but giving information to government. You don't get a right, or nobody doesn't get a right if you don't mutate, or your right doesn't get killed if you don't mutate. Hope I am clear. Thank you. Thanks for watching. If you have any doubts, kindly comment.